On this edition of Mocs News, we look to the skies with UTC's theater department.
We spent some time looking back at Veteran Appreciation Week.
UTC honored a longtime engineering professor as he prepares to retire.
And we head to the streets to find out what students have to say about gun control.
I'm Joseph.
And I'm Haley. Your news starts now. UTC's theater's latest production promises to be a real stargazer. I got a chance to get a first look. The cast and crew of Silent Sky visited UTC's Jones Observatory a couple weeks ago to get a feel of what it would be like to work as an astronomer.
This play is based around the women who worked at the Harvard College Observatory, and they were known as computers. And they were sort of preparing the foundation for how to measure space.
Lighting designer and UTC alum Alex Miller-Long helped create the Out of This World set.
So I feel like this world that these designers have made it's helpful for me because I have this realness right here where we have our desks and this, but as we're like approaching different worlds and we're walking around, it's like its own universe. And
so it's a play written in 2011 by a woman named Lauren Gunderson, who is from Atlanta, coincidentally, and she was just named by American Theater as the most produced American playwright of 2017-2018, and most people have not heard of her or seen her work, so it's great that we get to bring it here to Chattanooga and explore this play. I'm just in love with it, intrigued by it.
This whole play is about questions and who are we and where are we and all this stuff.
You can see Silent Sky November 14th through 17th at 7:30 p.m. and November 18th at 2 p.m.
Have you or someone you know been affected by breast cancer? If so, Pros in Pink may interest you. In collaboration with the Mary Ellen Walker Foundation, UTC student Damon Miller organized Pros in Pink. The event took place on Tuesday in the Appin Theater, not only as a way to raise awareness, but also as a way for students to share how breast cancer has impacted their lives.
My goal was to help create a dialogue on campus for UTC students to just discuss breast cancer and help promote breast cancer awareness. Additionally, most people do know someone who's gone through breast cancer. So, even if you're a student and breast cancer is not even in your mind, maybe you have a mother or, a relative who's gone through this. So I was kind of hoping just to, open up a dialogue for that.
It's the time of year where we honor our military veterans.
That's right, Haley. And on UTC's campus, there's a tradition of playing taps throughout the campus.
My son was in the Navy. He was on the Nimitz, and this was not his squadron, but one of the accompanying squadrons. And he gave me this hat when he got off the Nimitz. I played last year, the first year they did it, and it's just real honoring to be able to do this. Real privilege. So I'm grateful to do it.
Very moving. In that my dad was in the military in World War II, and we have had opportunities to play taps in other locations at funerals, and having that opportunity, it's always a special time.
Veterans Day may fall on a Saturday this year, but UTC was able to celebrate the veterans on our campus all week with a series of events dedicated to them.
Our Daniel Slattery has a story.
In order to celebrate Veterans Day on November 11th, UTC held events on the 6th through the 10th of November in order to honor our veterans. Attendees enjoyed free meals and coffee while reminiscing over various experiences they had both inside and outside of the military. The attendees talked to us about the importance of these events. One of the veterans in attendance, Haley Sebastian, explained what the Appreciation Day luncheon meant to her.
This is a women veterans luncheon. It's just part of the Military Appreciation Week, so that all of us women that served in the military get to eat free lunch with our spouses or dependents, whoever's here.
Dr. Steve Angle, UTC's Chancellor, told us more about the event Coffee with the Chancellor.
This event is Coffee with the Chancellor. It's just an informal question and answer, no agenda. People come, have a cup of coffee, a glass of water or juice, and they ask questions, and gives me a chance to hear what is on the mind of people on campus.
Military Appreciation Week finishes up today, November 10th.
The Southern Lit Alliance hosted their annual conference this past weekend to celebrate literature and even had a guest speaker to visit.
Our Carlton Smith has a story on how UTC got lit last weekend.
Get ready to get lit. The Southern Lit Alliance hosted their annual Southward Conference at UTC. Students, locals, and faculty gathered to listen to authors like Wendell Berry, Jill McCorkle, and more read their work. The Southern Lit Alliance hosted all sorts of workshops such as The Fact of Fiction, and also held all sorts of panels with authors to discuss their work. However, there was one author who stood out, Wendell Berry. Mr. Berry was asked to come and read some of his pieces for the audience. He began by discussing how important unity is for Southern writers and continued on by reading an excerpt from The Art of Loading Brush.
Regional writers, well, regions are important to me, and regions need their writers, and especially a region as unfashionable as the South needs its writers, and there's never any knowing when the writers are going to need each other, and that's an issue I think needs to be borne in mind. I'm going to read a story in 3 parts, and this is the time when, except for my strict self-discipline, I would ask you to spare me 20 minutes to do a little more work on this story.
Guests were able to have their books signed shortly after. So Lit 2017 was a hit, and the support for the authors was amazing. If you missed this year's event, don't worry, you'll be able to participate next year.
Are you looking to become more culturally diverse? Well, the UTC Center for Global Education is hosting International Week November 13th through 17th. The annual event helps promote cultural education and international exchange worldwide. International Week will be followed by a host of events such as Trivia Night, Study Abroad 101, and a soccer tournament. To find out more, visit utc.edu/global education.
The weather has been a lot cooler this week, hasn't it, Joseph?
It sure has, Haley. Let's send it to our Megan McClure with the weather.
Thanks, Joseph and Haley. Well, the cooler temps are here to stay, but wetter weather is not on the way. Friday, you can expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 58 and the lowest reaching down to 36. Saturday will mostly be sunny skies with the high reaching 59 and low hitting 41. On Sunday, expect the weather to be partly cloudy and in the mid-50s to low in the mid-40s. And next week, we will see temperatures rise up into the 60s. That will do it for the weather this week. Make sure to put on a sweater and enjoy the fall weather.
You like jazz? Well, you're in luck. UTC Faculty Jazz Band hosts a concert this Saturday, November 11th. The concert will be held in the Roland Hayes Concert Hall in the UTC Fine Arts Center. The concert starts at 7:30 p.m.
A beloved UTC professor was recently honored before retiring after 42 years of service.
Mike Jones has worked with UTC's engineering department and has continued to live with his passion. Here's a look at his honoring.
So my last words to you be, love what you do. Love what you learn or trying to learn, and then do it. Do what you want to do. And even you might have to beat some people down who's trying to keep you from doing it, because they want to do something else to make their lives different and better. And don't worry about what the major truth is.
I just think he's the epitome of what a faculty member is. Loved his discipline, loved the students, loved his faculty, persons that worked with him. So he just the consummate faculty.
The major truth to me is teaching. Teaching. By God, do it. Do it, do it, do it. And at least I did it as long as I could. Thank you very much, Steve.
This football and volleyball season are winding down, but at least UTC students have a basketball season to look forward to.
That's right, Haley, and we're passing the coverage off to our Abby Walker.
Thanks for the assist, team. Chattanooga's volleyball regular season is coming to a close at home this weekend. The Mocs suffered a loss on the road against ETSU Wednesday, but set their sights on Saturday for a win against Wofford. Earlier in the season, the Mocs lost to Wofford on the road, so they certainly look for redemption with a win at home this Saturday. The match starts at 6 p.m. in McClellan Gym, and admission is free. Count on us to keep you updated when Mocs volleyball continues at the Southern Conference Tournament starting Friday the 17th. Well, the UTC Mocs football played a hard-fought game that was sent into double overtime. Our Joseph Dykus has the story.
For the second time in 3 weeks, Chattanooga lost to another heartbreaker, this time to the Wofford Terriers. The triple option team was actually held in check on the ground for the most part, as the Mocs held them to less than 200 yards rushing and less than 300 total yards. For the Mocs, Cole Copeland had an efficient day passing, as he threw for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Darrell Bridges continued his excellent season as he ran for 80 yards and kept the chains moving throughout the game. On the other side, the Wofford attack was anchored by fullback Andre Stoddard, who rambled for 2 touchdowns. After a low-scoring affair in regulation, overtime was a barn burner. For the second straight game, the contest came down to a last-second field goal. Sadly, though, the exciting game did not end in the Mocs' favor. After exchanging touchdowns in the first overtime, Copeland threw an interception at the most inopportune time, and Wofford kicked the game-winning field goal that gave the Mocs their 8th loss of the season and kept them at the bottom of the Southern Conference. Chattanooga will try to rebound next week against ETSU.
Well, the Lady Mocs will start their 2017-18 season on the road against Green Bay at Wisconsin. The Mocs won 24 games last year and look to continue their winning ways. Green Bay won 27 games last year and advanced to the 2017 NCAA tournament. The Lady Mocs will have a challenging opening stretch with opponents like UCF, Indiana, Northwestern, Georgetown, and Auburn. Stay tuned to Mocs News as we continue to bring you the updates and highlights throughout the season. We got our first look at our men's basketball team as they took on Francis Marion in an exhibition game last Friday. Here again is our Joseph Dykus with a recap.
It was a rough start to the season for the men's basketball team, as the Mocs struggled to complete passes and committed turnover after turnover in their exhibition game versus Francis Marion. Against their Division II foe, the rusty Mocs looked out of sorts for most of the game, as they routinely botched easy passes and bricked open shots. Despite dominating on the boards against an undersized opponent, Francis Marion was able to stay in the game because of the Mocs' litany of turnovers. In the end, the Patriots were able to take and keep the lead against a much better team. McKinday London led the Mocs with 17 points and was second on the team with 8 rebounds, while Rodney Chapman chipped in 14 points and 13 rebounds. On the other side, Derek Brown paced Francis Marion with 17 points and 4 assists. As a team, UTC only had 5 assists but had a ghastly 22 turnovers. UTC starts their season on the road against Wyoming.
Well, that will do it for this week's edition of sports. We will bounce back to you next week.
UTC students' knowledge of history may not be as comprehensive as they originally thought. A speaker from SUNY Genso, professor of history, Emily Crosby, came to UTC to speak to students about their gap in knowledge. Crosby has dedicated her life to studying the history of civil rights in America, a history that is beyond textbooks.
I got to college and graduate school, and what I learned kind of in the scholarship of the time wasn't the same story as the one that I learned growing up. And so for me, it was important to sort of not lose that history.
All who attended this event were given some key and unsung heroes of the civil rights movement to look at. The focus of the message was that Martin Luther King was the main force behind the civil rights movement, when in reality he was just one who got the most publicity. Matthew Lewis, a UTC alumni who attended the event, felt like it was an important opportunity that he just could not miss.
There's so much more that we miss. You know, you hear these watershed moments like Dr. King, you hear these watershed moments like Malcolm X, but you don't hear so much about the young people in particular who looked like us, who thought like us, who behaved like us, working to make the world better. So for me, I think that was probably the biggest takeaway, that there's still so much work to be done because of how much history there is.
Well, there sure is a lot going on in the news this week.
And there's a lot we have to say. Our Carlton Smith has the scoop.
Well, mo money means mo problems and mo name changes as well. P. Diddy, hip-hop icon, posted a video on Instagram claiming to change his name to Love, aka Brother Love. Due to the uproar of fans, P. Diddy explains that the name change is a joke. Taylor Swift's newest album just dropped. Reputation is Swift's 6th studio album, and it's already receiving widespread criticism. The promo for the album began in August when she posted videos with snakes within the videos. It's like Snakeception. The first single to drop from the album was Look at What You Made Me Do, and then following the hit was Ready for It. You can find her album on iTunes. Tragedy strikes in Texas. 26-year-old Devin Patrick Kelly opened fire on the First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs, Texas. 26 people were killed and 20 more were injured. As Kelly fled the scene, a man, Stephen Wilford, confronted him in the parking lot and shot him twice. Shortly after the encounter, Kelly fled the scene. Wilford then flagged down a passing-by truck driven by Johnny Langerford, and the two followed Kelly in a high-speed chase. The shooting in Sutherland Springs was the 5th deadliest shooting in the United States history, coming only 35 days after the most deadly shooting in the U.S. history, which occurred in Las Vegas at the beginning of October. And that's all I have for this week in world news, but our Jake Taylor has taken to the streets to find out what fellow Mocs think about gun rights.
Thanks, guys. I'm out here on Heritage Plaza, and we're here to see what some of our fellow Mocs think about gun control.
I believe that Americans have the right to own guns. However, I do believe that it should be more heavily regulated than it currently is.
You hear all these stories about these shootings and how gun control could stop them, and obviously, like, they're like tighter gun rules could help, but I also think that it's not just the gun rules that are the only factors, you know, like, I don't know.
I'm personally against gun control. I believe it's not the guns that are doing the harm, it's the people behind the guns. With that being said, even if we make stricter regulations on background checks on who can buy guns, there's always going to be a black market, there's always going to be a way to make guns, so it's just one of those things that it's hard to control, honestly. Like, I don't know the solution for it whatsoever, but
I believe that you should be able to have like simple handgun, nothing that can fire too many rounds in a certain amount of period.
No, not semi-auto. There's no reason for that unless there's zombie apocalypse, you know.
It's gonna sound inhumane or something like that, but maybe like check in on those people that are on no-fly zones or no-fly lists, and like retired war veterans that aren't supposed to have that have PTSD and aren't supposed to have like firearms. So like maybe check in on them. Like, I don't want to say like routinely or like really search through what they're doing.
It's crazy. It definitely needs to be something that needs to change.
Crazy times we live in. I mean, like, if the greatest technology we had was like bows and arrows, there'd be mass shootings with bows and arrows. Like, I don't think it should be just like the guns' fault. I think like the people are to blame.
Religious purposes, just all the contradiction we have going around the world right now. Like, it's a new age, the Aquarius age. I don't know, going crazy.
Well, Joseph, it's finally the weekend.
That's right, Haley, and our Carlton Smith has the latest with Chatta-do-ga.
Thanks, guys. Well, this weekend promises to be an entertaining weekend in the Scenic City. Anime Blast returns to Chattanooga Choo Choo for the 7th annual anime convention known as Anime Blast. The event will take place starting today and run all weekend. A pass for the all weekend costs $45, and the other passes to get you in through Saturday and Sunday are about $20 to $30. Check out the website to see a list of vendors, events, and guests. Rising American band Roanoke will play the Revelry Room this Saturday evening. The group is an on-the-rise band and brings their Nashville sound to the scenic city. The duo will appeal to fans of the Civil Wars, the Lumineers, and the Head and the Heart. The concert is $10 and starts at 8 p.m. And the Chatta-do-ga Symphony and Opera proudly present a free concert at Memorial Auditorium in honor of Veterans Day. You can catch the show Saturday at 7:30 p.m. And if you haven't already noticed, Disney on Ice has returned to UTC McKenzie Arena. This year's theme is Frozen, which will introduce the popular movie, Frozen, to the Disney on Ice franchise. The cost is $15 and up, and the times vary, so head over to the website. And of course, what would it be without a trip to the Chattanooga Market this weekend, where you can enjoy all sorts of things. This weekend's theme is Big Band Day, so head over to the market this weekend for some music, some food, and shop local. That'll do it for this week in Chatta-do-ga. We'll catch up with you guys next weekend when we have a lot more for you to do-ga.
That does it for this edition of Mocs News. Thank you for joining us. Check out our videos uploaded through the week to YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media. We can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Mocs News UTC and on Facebook as Mocs News.
Have a great weekend from all of us here at Mocs News.